am here to talk about How to Be Perfect by Michael Schur, creator of the television series The Good Place, among many others. People who are familiar with popular American television will recognize the name from the American version of The Office, Parks and Rec, and the like. This book was actually gifted to my youngest for Christmas because he has an interest in philosophy. And after he read it, he suggested I read it. And I thought, you know what? I like Michael Schur. And I'm interested in philosophy, and it's always nice to have something to discuss with your kids. So I picked it up to read. Now, Schur does get help from a philosopher, well, a professor, Todd May, it says here, with philosophical nitpicking by. So we're not just trusting that Michael Schur went and studied all of this for The Good Place and is relating it, although that is largely the tone. It's very readable. It is very much in the tone of kind of lighthearted philosophy, and Schur does a good job of kind of using himself and situations he's been in as examples for various things, from Aristotle to Kant to a couple pages just kind of tearing down Ayn Rand, Ayn Rand, I guess, depending. I've heard it both ways. I don't know. I don't care. She was a monster. She is what is wrong with current society, honestly, in my opinion. I don't have a background in philosophy. I do have a background in psychology, and there is a certain amount of philosophy discussed when you're learning psychology. So some of this was vaguely familiar to me, but I could throw around things like utilitarianism, deontology, whatever. The idea is that this book kind of just goes through various philosophical frames of thought, and discusses the pros and cons of each. I don't know that there's any winner per se, because I think the truth is some kind of blend, right? And some things feel more doable than others, or relatable, or because of human nature, which is a complicated thing, and because of the way we live as individuals versus us in society and communities. There's a lot in this soup, as it were, but if you want a quickish read that does a fairly good job of explaining high-level versions of philosophy, like the idea of what do we owe each other, and or should we only ever act in purely logical ways? I don't think that's possible because we are not purely logical creatures, but that's beside the point. This book is a really good kind of high-level overview of that. It's a fun read, it's a relatively easy read. Again, I guess depending on your tolerance for this kind of thing. But yeah, I enjoyed it. 4 stars from me. 5 stars for what it is, 4 stars overall for my enjoyment of it, I guess, is really where I'm landing. But for what it is, it's probably the best version that you could hope for. And again, with a certain amount of humor, there are a lot of little asides and footnotes and things that are to some extent useful and funny, and then at some point kind of get a little wearing to me. Yeah, so that's why 4 stars for me. Again, your mileage may vary. But yeah, this is a super quick and easy review, because I'm not going to go into all the different philosophies. That's the whole point of reading the book. If you want to discuss philosophy in the comments, cool. But yeah, it's a good book. It was published in 2022, so it was written during the pandemic, and some of it reflects that, because obviously a lot has happened since then, especially in society and political discourse and things like that. So I feel like this book at this juncture could be expounded upon. Not necessarily that it needs another version or an updated version or anything, but that you could take this and then have really interesting discussions, if you're so inclined, about the direction things are going broadly in humanity, in the ways we behave, in trains of thought, because I do feel like the individualism which leads to selfishness is a base problem that, all right, we'll talk a little bit about it, but like when you think of America, it's a very individualist society. It's very proud of that, and that's awesome to a point, but we've gone to the tipping point of it being detrimental to us collectively because of the individualist ideology. There, I said it. Okay. Go ahead, shout at me in the comments. I don't care. But anyway, yes, 4 stars for me. Like, if you're looking again for a philosophy, but not something too deep or dense, this does a really good job of it. I don't know. I've got a library book up next, I think. We'll see if I like it. If I do like it, I'll read all of it. If I don't, I'll put it down and find something else. Yeah, so until next time, take care.